Good morning, students. This presentation is going to cover some of the basics of DNA. We are starting our Unit 7, and this is a very basic introduction as to what is DNA, how does it help us, what are the main parts, who discovered it, some of the things we need to know. Please take notes as you see fit as you watch this video. So this is a little cartoon of someone describing DNA. It says, as you can see from the model, the structure is basically a long, twisty, ropey, laddery thingy. And, according to this cartoon, this was back in 1953. So hopefully, by the end of this video, none of you will describe DNA as a long, twisty, ropey, laddery thingy. And you'll have a better understanding of exactly what DNA is. Alright, oops, that was a little too fast. Alright, so typically we consider DNA to be the blueprint of life. DNA, just like a blueprint, has all the instructions for all the parts of building a house or any building. Your DNA has all the instructions for you, and it basically has all the building blocks for you and and your makeup. Alright, so DNA in itself, and as you can see from that poster in my room, if you take a look at it, the long one on the wall, DNA stands for deoxyribonucleic acid. So it is a type of acid. Deoxy means meaning two, oxyribonucleic acid, right? So deoxyribonucleic acid. That's what DNA stands for. You should know that. It will be something that you will be quizzed on. So some fun facts about DNA, or just some facts that you should know. Two basic facts. It was discovered by these two scientists called James Watson and Francis Crick. So to this day, the model that we have is called the Watson and Crick model, and it's the best model that we have for what DNA looks like and kind of how it's set up. We know when we talk about the shape of DNA, we call it a double helix. So if you think of a ladder that has the sides and then the rungs in the middle, you take a ladder and you twist it, that will give you a double helix shape. So if you remember, we said chromosomes are in the shape of an X, DNA is in the shape of a double helix. Now, DNA has the codes for all your genes, not your Levi's, but your genes as far as like the different traits that you have that make you up. And then we say DNA is made up of repeating subunits called nucleotides. So if we take a bunch of nucleotides and stack them together, we will get DNA. Now, a nucleotide is basically a sugar, a base, a phosphate, a sugar, and a base pair. And I'll show you a little bit more about that over here. But here, again, this is a DNA model, right? Double helix. Imagine this was a ladder. These blue parts are the sides. The parts in between are the rungs where you put your feet as you step up the ladder. And if you twist that ladder, that gives you the double helix formation. So what is a nucleotide? Again, the nucleotide is what are the repeating subunits of DNA. It has three parts. It has a phosphate, a deoxyribose. Remember, DNA stands for deoxyribonucleic acid. And then a base. So the phosphate is this part here, and this is what we consider the rungs of the sides of the ladder, right? Then we have the sugar, and then we have a base. And when we have these stacked on top of each other, and then if you imagine flipping this over, where the phosphate is now over here, the sugar is here, and the base is still in the middle, this will give you the other side of the DNA ladder. Now the base, you'll notice here, has 4 different types of bases, and we'll talk about those in a minute. So again, right, if we're looking at nucleotides, got stuck for a second there. If we're looking at nucleotides, right, we have the P for the phosphate, the sugar, and then the base. Now the bases they go in pairs. So we have 4 bases: thymine, adenine, guanine, and cytosine. And you need to know the names of these 4 bases, right? Thymine, adenine, guanine, and cytosine. And they only pair in a particular order. Adenine and thymine always pair together. guanine and cytosine always pair together. So A and T always pair together. G's and C's always pair together. So if you look at it here in this model, thymine is represented by red, adenine is represented by green, so these two will always pair together. Guanine is represented by this purple, cytosine is represented by this lime yellow looking color, and they will always pair together, right? So again, this is our nucleotides. This will be your phosphate. This light blue is your phosphate, the dark blue is your sugar, and here's your base. So this right here is a nucleotide, right? The base pairs are held together by hydrogen bonds, right? So this thymine and adenine, sorry, these two dots, these are the hydrogen bonds that hold the base pairs together. If we go back a couple slides, here's the hydrogen bond again, holding adenine and thymine together, right? So they're always held together by hydrogen bonds, the base pairs are, and remember, DNA is made up of repeating units called nucleotides. So again, this is the phosphate, this is the sugar, this is a base. So this right here is a nucleotide, right? This whole rung right here, this whole section, these are two nucleotides with a base pair held together by a hydrogen bond. All right. So base pair rule, remember, A's always paired with T's, G's always paired with C's. So go ahead and pause the video and just see if you can figure out what will be, if this was one side of a DNA strand, what will this other side be based on the base pair rule. Alright, so now that you've paused it, you should come back and you should know this A on this other side here, this should be a T. On the other side here, this should be an A on the other side of the T. On the other side of this A, we should have a, this A will give us a T, this T will give us an A, this A will give us another T over here, this T will give us an A, this C will give us a G on this side, this A will give us a T, this T will give us an A, this G will give us a C, the C will give us a G, G will give us a C, G will give us a C, and G will give us a C. It's kind of like matching. It's very simple once you get it. Again, A pairs with T, and G's and C's pair together, and you can see that going here. And again, remember, these are base pairs, what we call nitrogen base pairs, and then we have the backbone of the DNA is sugar and phosphates, right? So the sides of the ladder are sugar and phosphate. The middle, we have the nitrogen base pairs. Again, sides of the ladder, sugars and phosphate, sugars, right? In the middle, we have the base pairs. The base pairs are held together by the hydrogen bonds, and then a phosphate, a sugar, and one base pair is what we consist of as we consider a nucleotide. And the nucleotides are repeating units that make up DNA. These are all very important concepts, fairly simple things that you need to know. Please make sure you take notes of these. All right. So you'll see this video on the page. Please make sure you watch this video and also take notes on that video. Now, you might want to know, why do we have these codes? How do the codes work? So certain codes, right, determine what genes or traits you'll have. So depending on the order of your codes, right? So let's just consider, if we're just using base pairs, cytosine, adenine, thymine, right? So you might have a CAT, CAT. That combination will give you purple here. And this is just, a random example. Whereas someone who had a TAC, TAC combination, which is different from the combination up here as far as the order the letters are going in, that will give them yellow here, right? So it's the combination of your base pairs that determine the different genes and traits that you have. The combination of your base pairs will give you genes for long hair or genes for curly hair, genes for blue eyes or genes for brown eyes, genes for I don't know, ability, a high-pitched voice versus genes for a lower-pitched voice, right? So these are the genes. The combination of the genes gives you a code, or the combination of the base pairs gives you a code that creates different genes that you have. All right, so you can think again of the bases of the DNA as letters, and the letters form words, and the words form sentences. We only have 4 base pairs, but they make millions of different combinations, right, which create different genes that we all have. All right, so for a quick review to end this video, DNA, we know DNA stands for deoxyribonucleic acid, and these will be good notes to have. So this last part of the video will be a good section to take notes and just copy this part down, right? DNA, we know, stands for deoxyribonucleic acid. Shape of DNA, you should be able to know that it is a double helix. The 2 scientists that established the structure of DNA were Watson and Crick. We know, went too far. Adenine always pairs with thymine, right? So A's with T's. The sides of the DNA ladder are made up of deoxyribose, which is the sugar, and a phosphate molecule. If you can't remember how to spell phosphate, go back into the video. Number 6, guanine always pairs with cytosine, right? So the G's always pairs with the C's. To complement this, the complementary sequence that will be on the other side, so the other base pairing that will be here, we would have G, T, A, T, C, right? 2 sides of DNA are held together by hydrogen bonds. So we know hydrogen bonds hold the base pairs together. DNA is composed of repeating subunits called nucleotides. And the 4 bases, we know A, T, G, and C, but you should know the names as adenine, thymine, guanine, and cytosine. All right, and that is your quick review. DNA replication we'll talk about in our next video or in our next class. And some of the videos that you'll watch, there are 2 links for videos. Please watch those and you'll see an example of DNA replication and what it is. Make sure you take notes on those videos. If you have any questions, email me or reach out to me through Edmodo. Bye.